Hey everyone, this is Mrs. Atwater. This recording is going to walk you through instructions for your Unit 2 performance task, which is all about pitch. Please make sure as you are going through each step that you don't skip any steps. In order for your performance task to be complete, you need to hit all 6 steps. So step number 1, you are going to open up your online keyboard. Now, by this point, you should all be really familiar with the online keyboard. You've had a couple of assignments where you had to play your treble clef pitches or your bass clef pitches using it. So here's your online keyboard. You are going to open this up by clicking right on this link in the on our PowerSchool Learn page. Step 2. And this is where you get to be really creative. You are going to compose a tune using 8 different whole notes, 8 different notes. So look at how many notes you have here. You have about 15 white keys and about 10 black keys. So you are going to be creative and choose 8 of those to compose a melody or compose a tune. Now, there are some requirements. Your 8 notes must be all treble clef or all bass clef. What does that mean? That means you have to either go from your middle C up to your next C, or you go from your middle C down to the next C. You cannot be all over the keyboard. You have to choose your treble clef pitches up here or your bass clef pitches down here. Okay? Another requirement is that you must start with middle C and you must end with middle C. You must start here and you must end here. Anything in between, those other 6 notes in between, you can choose among your bass clef pitches or your treble clef pitches. Okay, so be careful when you are doing this. Don't be all over the keyboard. Start with middle C, end with middle C, and choose treble or bass clef. Okay, so play around with that a little bit, be creative, and once you come up with a series of pitches that you're happy with, take a pencil, jot down on some paper the names of all 8 notes in order. So maybe I like the sound of this. Maybe I like the sound of D, E, F, G, F, E, D. That will be incorrect because that is 8 pitches, but I did not end on C. So let's try that again. C, D, E, F, E, D, B, C. That is 8. So I will jot that down. All right. With my pencil, I'm going to jot down C, D, E, F, E, D, B, C. Now, if you noticed, I did something else wrong. Here's what I did wrong. I was supposed to stay in treble clef, and guess what? My B dipped into my bass clef. So I can't use that. I can't use that. I have to either stay all treble clef or all bass clef. So let's try this again. Starting with C, here we go. C, D, F, G, A, G, D, C. I like that. I like the way it sounds. So I'm going to take all those letters that I just played, and maybe you need to play it a couple times, and you are going to write them on your page. You're going to write them down on your sheet paper, your Post-it note, whatever, in order. Okay? Once you've done that, you are done your second step. Okay. You are then going to create a Screencastify recording of yourself playing your composition from beginning to end. All right. Now you are all familiar with this whole thing, grabbing your Screencastify and making a recording, a desktop recording. Now, I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot what I just played, but practice those 8 notes a few times, jot down your letters, and then just read your page and go ahead and make your recording using all the pitches. And make sure you're starting on C and you're ending on C. Okay, that is step 3. Okay, so far you've created a tune, you've created a recording of yourself playing that tune or playing that composition from beginning to end. Step 4, there is a Google slide attached to this page. And here's what it looks like. Let's see if I can bring it up. Here's what this Google slide looks like. So what you're going to do is take what you have made up, take the music that you've created, all 8 notes, and you are going to what we call notate. You're going to take those pitches and you're going to write them down here. So the first thing you need to do is decide what clef you're in, what clef you're playing in. So what needs to go here? If you are using treble clef, of course this treble clef would go here, and you want to position it so that the loop goes around the second line like we talked about. Or if you used bass clef, if you like the lower pitches of the keyboard, you're going to grab your bass clef and you are going to position it right here so that the 2 dots are in those 2 spaces at the top. Okay, so that's your next step. You'll position your clefs, and then from there you have 6 whole notes at the bottom of your slide. You already have your middle C's in position. What you're going to do is take those notes that you created and you're going to drag these up to match. So if you did C, D, there's your D. If you did C, D, F, here's your F. Oops, so we're going to move that to the space. If you did C, D, F, G, here's your G. Say you did C, D, F, G, and then you came all the way up at the top to this high C. There you have it. If you did an E next, you would use that one. And if you did, I don't know, an A, you would take that and drag it to A. And then, of course, you would end with middle C. Now, you can't do this unless you jotted down on paper the letters, okay? So you have C, D, F, G, C, E, A, C. Once you've done that, you have completed step 5 of your performance task, and you have 1 step left. For this last step, you are going to create a text box underneath of your pitches. And just for the sake of making this complete, let's bring this clef down because I most definitely used my treble clef pitches. So you're going to create a text box, and guess what you're putting in the text box? You are labeling these pitches. So the first one I used was a C. Let's bring that in some. And I'm just going to bring it on over, space, 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 space. There's my D. Okay, now remember, the lines and spaces of your staff. Don't forget, we went over that. There's my G. I'm going to keep going. There's a C. Now that C doesn't look like my middle C, but it's still a C. And there is my E. There's my A. I know you can hear my clicking here in the recording. And there is my last middle C. So when you are all done, you should have a recording of your 8-note composition. You should also have it written out on the staff with the letters underneath. Okay. So you have a bunch of steps here, but guess what? You have all week to do this. So we're going to take 1 step at a time. Use your online keyboard, compose your notes, right? You get to be totally creative with what's in the middle of your middle C's. Create your Screencastify recording. Choose what clef you're using. put your notes on the staff, and then create your text box underneath of your staff. And this is sort of what you will end up with. Okay, so we have a bunch of steps here. We're going to walk through this step by step again in class, but just wanted to give you all a recording for the whole thing from beginning to end.